Churchill, welcome. Once again, Raymond Ocheng and Vincent Kimosop, as always, a pleasure to have you here. We were looking, before we went into the commercial break, the NYS Guru story that is aptly covered on pages 1 and 2 of the Daily Nation, page 2 of the Standard, and even the Business Daily. And then I had just taken thoughts from Raymond, who was saying, for one,
don't put me in this place.
For one,
of the CS who said I lead corruption from there.
He actually meant a lead the fight against corruption. Now, looking at this, now it has moved beyond Waiguru.
Yes.
It's even dropped in the Central Bank of Kenya governor. Yes. What does this mean exactly?
Of course, the reality of it is that for us to deal with corruption and deal it firmly, you require, I usually say, 4 things. Number 1, you need very strong political will. Political will is not just the commitment from the president, from everybody who is in a place of decision making. Number 2, we need very good laws and policies. Number 3, institutions and structures. Then 4, we need to address the issue of culture. Now, we are in an environment...
Are they in that order or in any order?
That's
for in that order?
I will bring the culture part to be number 1, followed by the political will, and then the institutions, and then laws and policies. Now, the central bank is the clearinghouse, for example, the bank for the government. So all these payments, somehow the central bank, you can say, the money, it's the government's bank. So we know in banking, you don't have to disclose everything, for example, what you are doing with some monies that you were throwing. But when you have certain levels of monies that are being like in millions, without some of them in cash instead of going through the EFT. So those questions therefore arise on what was the role of the central bank in this process. Did they, for example, question them? Did they ask for more? You know, that needs to come out clearly, so that when we come to the conclusion that, hey, somebody needs to hold responsibility. As you remember very well, that the central bank governor, he's on record saying that the bank supervision department wing has been responsible for even some of the challenges that we are facing in the banking sector. So I would not want to jump into the question of saying the CBK governor needs to be prosecuted, but I think they need to tell their part of the story on what was their role, so that also we don't have headlines of saying prosecute a governor. Some of those statements are might sound to be too strong, but they also need to tell what was their responsibility, because in strong institutions, as Barack Obama said, is what Africa needs, and not strong individuals.
Churchill, the question about, I mean, all these other people involved, Peter Mangiti, Kipchumba Murkomen, and everybody else, why is the full glare just only on NYS Guru? As much as we know she wants to go for a political seat, but so are the other people, somebody like Kipchumba Murkomen. And of course he's mentioned, Kipchumba Murkomen in that footage mentioned something very critical, that we know there's a lot of incompetence in the Parliamentary Accounts Committee. Are they the failure?
You know, Charles, I will be honest with you of my disappointment with the political elite in this country, especially when it becomes to being honest with issues that require leadership. And
but the political elite, Churchill, they don't come from utopia.
I know.
Are you saying you're disappointed with you and I?
But let me tell you, I have at some point within my circles asked, is it even, should we reconsider democracy? Because, you know, sometimes we talk about these people reflecting, you know, they reflect who we are. But I totally disagree with that.
Not sometimes, all the time.
Maybe because
somebody once said Churchill and Charles are only crying about corruption because they've not got the chance.
But you know, I would say this. I served. I think you can go into public office and actually serve without having to mark your name. There are many Kenyans who are of integrity in public service.
And that's why
I have...
Kimosop, where is your village?
I come from Baringo County.
That's why Baringo people are not saying Kimosop.
You know,
that's why I must support Vincent. Vincent would have not been here if he would have not, if he's not,
and allow me to
they would have left him.
You know, the point is that I appreciate that there is the place for we have a culture that celebrates ill-gotten wealth, and if you seem to have gone to the state and stolen, you celebrated. But also let's appreciate that there are also millions or many Kenyans outside there who stand for the right thing. I believe in quoting the good book. There is a gentleman who is called Elijah. At some point he said, Lord, kill me, I'm the only one who is remaining. And the Bible tells him that Elijah, by the way, there are 7,000 others outside there who are still standing firm. I believe truly that if more and more people who stand for the right thing congregate and share and come together, we have a narrative that we are not seeing out there, including even in Parliament. Actually, there are very good legislators who have managed their CDFs very well. They work in accountability. The only challenge is that those who are getting the limelight are the wrong one. And actually, the challenge was the media.
So that there's something I wanted to say. I think they interrupted when I was saying defending my idea of political. My disappointment with the political class in this country. People follow their leaders, but the question of who determines the leaders is a chicken-egg thing. But my philosophical belief is that it is leadership that determines the direction, the belief, and the culture of people, and not vice versa.
Leadership here, you mean politics?
Leadership, wherever. But just a moment. What I mean is that I might be elected by the people, but I can be in a position and say that, you know what, I know what is right for you. If your people have elected you and they want to take poison, do you give them poison?
No, you don't.
You don't.
Unless you want to be a populist.
Yes. But you know, the politics in this country is that the people want poison, give them poison.
Because that's what they want.
So let me be passionate.
Let's wrap this up. We need to go to Kakamega.
I want to borrow, we were chatting with Kibe Mungai, and this is what he said. They said that the corruption in this country, when you're corrupt, it's a white collar, it's a white collar trial. Even in terms of their court process, in terms of how you're actually in the court, you're a celebrity, and it's a reality, Charles. If you are a robber, you may not rob 4 times before you are dead. But if you are corrupt, even the way we are going to treat you, even the way the court processes treat somebody who has stolen, and that brings underscores one thing, underpinning culture. We've got a wrong culture. And Charles, they come out with all the millions, and what do? They're the big celebrities that are going to be voted. So actually you steal millions, and that's why I agree with Churchill's passion in terms of I believe there has to be a national dialogue, or else we are the proverbial ostrich who are putting our head in the sand. And we may have even our institutions that we may believe in to have been eaten. So
the question that keeps begging for an answer is, who exactly is going to stand out there and be counted? Because the right-thinking people like Kimosop and Churchill and Raymond are saying it here. When they go out, they say, hiyo sio shughuli yangu, wacha wanaohusika washughulike.
They are, and perhaps I think I really am impressed, because you're throwing the same question that, by the way, we're analyzing corruption, but what can be done?
What is my role?
What is my role? I sit in an organization called the Fellowship of Christian Union in Focus, Kenya, and we have come up with an initiative called Hesabika, challenging people to stand to be counted. Number one is that bad leaders are elected by good people who do not vote. So the first thing is telling everybody to rise up and ensure that
the 7,000 people with Elijah are the good people
telling them, please arise and vote for the right people. And then the other thing is that also identifying, you know, if we were to choose a president in our midst, Charles is there, but you know, one of us will stand for us. So the point is, if you know that there are right people who are running in your wards, in your governors, in your members, support them. Support them by either, if it is financial, support them, if it is even voting for them or campaigning for them. And then finally, the whole issue about our values, revisiting our roots. Charles, I'll ask you very clearly, you know, what happened to the place of esteem, you know, the dignity in leadership? Because if you're a member of parliament, if your governor is somebody who has stolen a lot, it even affects the profile and the picture that you have about your county. Like
Vincent, remember there are some very good men.
Yeah, and women.
And women, yeah.
Yes.
who went into parliament, and then what happened?
Either they have become voiceless, or
and
they have
some
been
said
absorbed.
that they truly realized that they are owners of this nation. That does not make me support that we cannot be defeated. And I believe if we can highlight, Charles, what is good and synergize and begin to brand the success stories, because if we begin to celebrate great people who have done great things for this nation, then we will begin to address. Because one of the fundamental things that Vision 2030 even lacked is the value system that should underpin. And I believe, Kimosop, if we can also mobilize the churches, and because the faith, people, faith-based units, and we decide what Churchill, the passion of Churchill, we decide that we want to elect people not because of the depth of their pockets. We want to elect people because of value system.
And I want to believe as we finish this, you're talking about their ideal faith, not the faith that we know.
No, of course, definitely. The point is, remember,
we're talking about not the one who goes to church on Sunday, or the Muslim who goes to the mosque.
If you go to All Saints, one of the persons, they have had many, for example, archbishops and everything. But you will find people saying that in the year Alexander Kitsang Muge was the Bishop of Eldoret. In the year Gitare was the Archbishop in the year the Bishop Okolo. You know, why is it that those are? It's because they stood to be counted in their times. They rose to the challenges of the time. The question actually you're asking is that at independence, when the white man had all the weapons, the money and the connection, there is a generation that rose and said, "Excuse me, this is our land. We will fight for it." The Mau Mau.
The funny thing.
For us and Mau Mau and the others, but I think that the question we are being asked in our generation is what you are telling us, that it is the leaders that set the standards and not the other way.
I want us to close this.
Just giving an example.
An example precisely. I want us to close this discussion and get into the NASA politics. But before we close, it reminds me of an argument by most or some preachers that the fact that you are a man of God does not mean you have to portray abject poverty. You have to live well to the glory of the name of God. These people can keep quoting the Bible for you. NASA politics. The Star has it on page 1. Joho, Kingi. It says Joho, Kingi and Mbrutu hit back at Uhuru. Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho challenges President Uhuru to give his family's vast land to squatters. The story is also covered on page 10.